Good morning again, everybody. Good morning. It's lovely to see you all. So, what I am going to talk about today is silent illumination. It is, I've talked about this in the past. It's many of you will know this as shikantaza from Soto Zen practice. Silent illumination is what it's called in the Chan tradition, and it goes back to Hongzhi, Chan Master Hongzhi, who was 11th century, 11th, 12th century China. And he wrote beautifully and poetically about silent illumination. I've talked about this in the past. I talked about it a little before, and I'm going to talk about the method itself today. So we're Sundays recently, I've been talking about foundational Buddhist practices, what our foundational practices are. And I'm going to be working through different methods of meditation. You need a method. It's really important to have a method. We're also talking on Thursday evenings right now about breath meditation. That's been going on for a while. So I'll probably talk about that on Sundays at some point. Silent illumination. Silent illumination. Chan Master Hongzhi talked about silent illumination basically as the natural expression of the awakened mind. Just the natural expression. So in that sense, it's not actually a method. But you've got to do something. So we're going to talk about this as a way of actually practicing. In its simplest description, it is just experiencing. Now, we're not actually very good at experiencing in this culture. We train ourselves to think about experiencing. So we just did a progressive body relaxation, and the intention of that was to get you actually somatically experiencing your bodies. So this idea, I remember years ago now, so I was follow your breath. And it's like, it took me years of doing this to realize, oh, I've been following my breath out here, not in here. It's an idea of the breath. It was quite jarring. I thought I was doing this body work, but I was actually out here. We are so disconnected from our body in this culture, and we are trained to stay that way. We're trained to think. So there's 2 degrees of separation here. The first is we're relaxing our body, but we're thinking about the body as we relax it. So we're in our heads as we're relaxing the body. And the second is to be doing what I did, which is you're not even connected with the body. You're just thinking. Neither of those is experiencing. Experiencing is being actually in the body. This goes way back into the Pali Canon in the Pali Suttas, where most famously in the Satipatthana Sutta, but this is kind of throughout, it's experienced the body in the body, the feelings in the feelings. There's no thinker here. There is just the experiencing. So what hopefully happened when you were experiencing the body, when we were doing that progressive relaxation, raise the eyebrows. You actually feel the stress in the forehead and the eyebrows as you do this. So when you let them drop, there's a sensory experience of release. It's a sensory, physical, embodied experience. No thinking there, just the sensory experience. And as we go on down, we can do this intentionally engaging with the body. So the foundation of silent illumination is it is just experiencing. When you're in a Soto Zen temple, you'll frequently be told this is just sitting. Just sitting. It's the same thing. The just sitting isn't, oh, look, I'm just sitting. Look, aren't I up straight? My posture's upright. Is my chin tucked in? Oh, I'm probably leaning a little. How can I check? You're thinking, you're not sitting. Just sitting is experiencing the sitting, physically embodied, experiencing the sitting. Right now, you're in touch with the ground. You can feel it. You can feel that thin layer of flesh and muscle that's actually in touch with the ground. There's pressure, there's weight, there's a little sense you can feel it shifting as you shift. We each experience this differently as our own bodies work. Some of us will amplify the weight, some the pressure. Some may experience like a sense of warmth there, but it's somatic, it is physical, right? Really important to this as well is to be relaxed. So this progressive relaxation does a couple of things, but one of them was to really bring you into your body. So the weight does naturally drop. And you notice this when you're out wandering around. When you breathe out, your weight naturally drops. And if you're in a place where you're naturally relaxing, weight just continues to drop and you can follow it all the way down to the ground. You can follow it into the ground, actually. And you can place your attention where that's happening. It's dropping your energy out of your head. It's cutting intellectual thinking and bringing it down into the body, deep into the body. Because the mind hijacks everything. Naturally, the mind hijacks everything. It's how we are trained to operate. Something comes along, stories spin up, mind hijacks situation. So this dropping of weight, this dropping of energy out of the head is moving us away from a place where the mind is likely to hijack. So we're getting more stable in the body. And we are intentionally relaxing. The instructions were release, relax. And I saw many of you actually going through the physical motions to do this. Release and relax. And we can feel that in the body. If we tune into our body, we can actually feel and experience that relaxation. When we're relaxed, next time you do this, try and be angry. You can't. When you're truly relaxed, grounded, settled, you can't be angry. If something happens in here, out there, that's going to disturb you, you feel the energy rise, you feel it tighten. This is the opposite of the direction you've just been working in. It just naturally comes up, chest tightens, everything constricts. And then out of that, these reactions blurt out. So this is intentional relaxation. So with this intentional relaxation, there's another slippery thing we have to be careful of. Because yes, the mind hijacks everything. But when we settle down, particularly if we're not used to doing this, when we settle down, this calming can be incredibly pleasant, really sweet. And it's really easy to just settle into, oh, this feels great. Let me lie down. Let me curl up into a ball and tuck up in a blanket. This feels great, this relaxation. It's not practice. You're not alert. You have to stay alert and attentive. This was to check back in with your body. Should be feeling content, at ease. Now bring great interest to bear on your method. We need this meditation method. We need something to keep our attention sharp so we know what's going on. So we're aware of what's going on. And we bring that in because it's actually going on in here, not out there. When I talked about, something makes us angry and we react, all of that's happening in here. The body tightening, moving us away from that place of relaxation, the energy rising, the perceiving and conceiving and storytelling. That's the bad thing out there that we're reacting to. It's not a bad thing out there we're reacting to. It's a story we're forming in here of what's going on out there that we're reacting to. We're reacting to our own story. So all of this is actually happening in here. I'm not saying there's nothing out there. There is stuff out there. But what we're reacting to is this internal element. So this staying alert, staying attentive is something we bring inwards. And as we become used to working in our bodies, working in our feelings, working in our perceptions, without the mind interfering, just the raw experiencing, then we bring that attention to bear on the raw experiencing. And this is where the calming is coupled with insight. In the Chinese, zhi is the calming, is the settling. Guan is the contemplation. Is that from which the insight emerges. So these two work together if we keep our mind sharp and alert. And as I say, it's really, really easy and natural to let the mind slip off into this place of dullness because it feels so good. And this is a well-recognized problem in Chan and Zen circles. And a lot of time it's not diagnosed because the teaching doesn't catch it. But there are a lot of very, very experienced practitioners. I've been one of them until I spent years in the language of I can't think of his name. Just reading his Dahui. Dahui was a Chinese contemporary of Hongzhi, and he wrote instruction letters, teaching letters to lay practitioners as well as other stuff he taught. But he talked about this as dwelling in the ghost cave on the dark side of the mountain, where the sun don't shine. There's no light. You're not seeing anything. It's great. It's peaceful. It's calm. And you just stay there. And you've been practicing this way for years, and it feels really good. It's really hard to tell somebody who is used to that practice. It feels productive. It's really hard to tell somebody they need to change. It's really hard to bring somebody out of that and bring that sharpness and alertness back to the practice. I'm very lucky it's happened for me. So this is something to really watch out for. And again, it's one of the reasons we need a method. And this silent illumination is a method. There are others out there, and we'll talk about others other times. But we really need something because we need to stay there. A simple test for this, which I've talked about before, if you find yourself distracted, if you find vexation, stress, anxiety, whatever coming up, then check. You're not on your method. I don't care what your method is. Breathe, body scans, silent illumination, koan, whatever your method is, it's always there for you. And if you find yourself being distracted and getting caught up, simply means you're not on your method. Bring your method back. Most obviously on the cushion, but also just in life. So this silent illumination as a practice is always there, just experiencing moment to moment to moment to moment. Posture. Grounding. Walking meditation. You did walking meditation, right? Silent illumination when walking. Contact of the feet on the floor. Just experiencing rising and falling of feet. Just experiencing contact of foot on the floor. Pressure of foot on the floor. This quality of investigation. What is going on with the foot on the floor? There is this experiencing. What is being experienced? What is doing the experiencing? That experiencing, actually, there is no quality there. Pressure of the foot on the floor, it has no natural quality. It is entirely your history. What you're experiencing, there is something there, but it happens so fast. The mental overlay happens so fast, you're almost certainly missing it. And what you're actually experiencing when you're in walking meditation and experiencing the pressure of your foot on the floor is your mental history, your biological history, all of your conditioning of all of those times you've paid attention to feet, and you know what pressure feels like. You know, right? So that is projected on, and that's what that is. Just like you're looking at me, then all of you have different durations of and qualities of experience with me, but you're not seeing me. You're not seeing Gareth. All of you are seeing your own individual projection. White guy, gray hair, probably in his 60s, 62 to be precise. Short sleeve shirt. There's some sort of style going on here. Got this strange accent. Sounds like he's probably British. Overeducated to big vocabulary, right? Sitting up here, he's been in the Zen, he's got Zen language. He's been in the Buddhist practice. He's talking about the Theravada and stuff. So there's obviously that over there. You've got a story that you've built. It's not me. It's all the pieces in your history that you're putting together to project. Happens incredibly fast. Judgments generally come with, I like it, I don't like it, I'm not sure. All you, all inside you, right? So the same with this just experiencing who is actually experiencing and what's actually being experienced. This silent illumination method is all about getting ourselves into a place where we are calm and clear, where we are relaxed and wakeful, where we are embodied and we are not in our heads. And then paying attention to this experiencing, to just moment by moment experiencing. That's the practice of silent illumination. There are a number of different ways to approach this. This grounding and embodied practice is one. The just sitting approach of really paying attention to your posture and to your sitting is another. Direct perception is another. There are what you can pick a particular sense and just focus on that particular sense. Hearing and vision are the two that are generally going to be picked. And you can deal with contact as well. But you just focus on one sense gate and just directly experience. You can focus on space. Okay, just pay attention to space. There's no such thing really. So you're not really it's just a trick in a sense. So there are a number of different ways of engaging in this, but it is simply getting yourself in this place to be available for direct experiencing. It is called a sudden practice. Now, there's a lot of confusion, misunderstanding about sudden and gradual, and there's a long history behind this. I'm not going to get into all of that, not now anyway. But just sufficient to say, sudden as a sudden practice doesn't mean it's a practice designed for you to wake up now. You could, it's great, but you could when you're washing the dishes. You could when you're doing just an incremental, the Goenka progressive body scan, where you're looking at the sensations in the body, which is intentionally a gradual practice. You could wake up anytime you're doing that. Waking up's possible any moment, totally unpredictable. It's sudden in that it is direct. The method is directly aligned with the awakening experience. The awakening experience is there is no self. There's a whole bunch of subjective experience going on. Yeah, our hands are touching things, our nose is smelling, our ears are hearing, our eyes are seeing. There are all of these subjective experiences happening, but there is nobody in the middle. The idea that there's a self in the middle of these subjective experiences is the fundamental error that causes all of our suffering. So the enlightened experience is simply no self in the middle, just this direct experiencing. That's it. With this quality of freshness and alertness. It's very natural. And this is a practice that is just aligned with that. So that's when it's called a sudden practice. It's just talking to that natural alignment of the practice with the awakened experience, just the directness of the method. So that's the method. And the things to watch out for, the catches, things to be aware of again. I've stumbled through these, but just to recap them. The first place to slip off this is we think we're engaged in experiencing, and we're actually not. We're in our heads. We're not actually in the experiencing. So to be really intentional about checking you're in the body and you're actually experiencing in the body. Really intentional about, where is my energy? Is it up high? Is it down low? Making sure we're not stuck in our heads, we're actually experiencing in our bodies. So that's the first one. Second one is to find the allure of this practice and the sweetness of the experience itself so nice that we let the body hijack the mind. You know, when we in everyday life, the mind's hijacking everything. When we settle and we calm, then the mind stills along with the body and it becomes so sweet. The body then hijacks the mind. Right? So that's the one you've got to be aware of. Don't let that happen. Stay where you are alert. The mind is not actively engaged, and you're in this relaxed place, but you're still alert. You're still interested. And then the third one is fairly clear from the way I've described it, but nonetheless, there are different ways this is talked about, and we have this habit of doing this for ourselves. This is a method that actually has no stages. If you read many of the old Pali Suttas, they talk about the jhanas. And so you enter the jhanas. The first jhana has vitaka and vikara, and these are qualities of analysis, and it has piti and sukha, which are qualities of pleasure or joy, physical experiences. And then vitaka and vikara drop off when you move into the second jhana. So there's a progression here, right? So we can set up stages. The truth is, there's not really stages there either. These are kind of signposts so you can figure out what's going on. They're not really necessarily set up as stages. But this is a method that expressly has no stages. So there's no way of saying, oh, I'm doing well because I did this, and now I'm doing this, and now I'm here. No. Just experience. Cut all that off. That's already coming up to the head. No stages, just engage right now in experiencing. If you're interested in learning a lot about silent illumination, there's a book called Silent Illumination by Guagu, who's a teacher down in Florida, who's the guy who I work with, who's an amazing human being. So I can't recommend that book highly enough. And he's also got some commentaries of Hongzhi, translations of and commentaries on Hongzhi at the back of that book. Anyway, so that is Silent Illumination for you folks. I will stop talking here and I will open this up for discussion.